Welcome to the OPC overview for the version 7 import utility. In this video we're going to talk about the conversion of your OPC data source in version 7 and how we convert it into the new Win911. Before we talk about how we're actually going to do that, let's talk about a few new features of the new Win911 when it comes to OPC. Auto reconnect. If you fail to connect, or if you lose your connection to an OPC server, we can automatically reconnect. This works for most OPC servers. We've tested quite a few, and whether it's the server shuts down, you lose your network connection, it will just automatically detect that and reconnect to that OPC server, and so you don't have to restart anything with Win911. We have a new import. This import has some advanced sorting and filter controls, and it makes it easier to filter a large list of OPC tags. And you can also create multiple alarms on a single item, which includes all OPC item types, so digital, analog tags. You can create digital or Boolean alarms, analog alarms, such as like high, 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 low, and low, low. But you can create more than that. You can create as many limit alarms as you like. You can also create watchdog alarms on items and quality alarms. So if a tag ever goes to bad quality, you can create an alarm on that. So you can say, hey, this item is no longer communicating, and create an alarm off of that and notify your operators. What's going to be converted: your data source, your digital and analog tags, and your non-zero watchdogs. Non-zero watchdogs are watchdogs that have their timeout not set to 0. So if it's set to 0 for your watchdog timeout, we will not convert that. We're not supporting data pokes or bit picking, so if you have tags using those functions, we're not going to convert those either. Here is your data source migration. On the left we have version 7, on the right we have the new product. We're going to go ahead and grab the access name and make that the name of the new data source. We'll take the machine name and plug that in on the right as well, and also the server name. So it's fairly basic there. So it's pretty much the same settings that you had before. You also notice that there is an update rate on the left, and there's no update rate on the right. That's because the update rate is handled on a tag by tag basis, and we'll talk about that more in just a second. Digital tags. On the left we have a digital tag called freshwater tank gate valve, and on the right we have the converted output of that. So we're going to grab the tag name, convert that into the item. We'll grab the description, make that description of the item. And then the group name is going to become the strategy. A strategy represents a group. If you not sure what I mean by that, please check out the dispatcher video that we did that explains the relationship between groups and strategies and tactics. Item name becomes the item name there. You'll notice it's different from the name, just like over here, so that if you have your tags configured that way in version 7, that's no problem. So we'll jump over to the alarm conditions tab, and we're also jumping over to the alarms tab on the right side as well. We're naming this alarm because that's what it was called in version 7. You can change this if you like. And we're also grabbing the description from what you had typed in there. The digital alarm becomes the condition item value equals 1. If it was alarm on 0, it would say item value equals 0. And now we'll look at some analog alarms. So on the left we've got freshwater tank, on the right we have the output from that, same as before. So we'll grab that information, description, same as before. Engineering units, that's going to be converted. Data source, that's going to be, I skipped over that on that last one, but it's the particular data source that we're connecting to. Item name, same thing. And here's where it's a little bit different. So on the left side we had high, 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 and low, and low, low. On the right we don't have that same concept. You can create multiple alarms on an item. Now we're going to name them high based off of what was in version 7, but I can create as many limit alarms as I want in the new Win911. but we're just going to mimic what we had in version 7. So I'm naming this alarm high because that's what it was called in version 7. You can see that my condition value is when the item value is greater than 25. There's also an operator in here. You can change that to greater than or equal to 25 if you want to change that. And the description comes from the sounds tab where it's got high above the high limit, and it'll be the same for low. So I think we're going to show you that in just a second. So group name becomes strategy name. So yeah, here's low. So low becomes an alarm named low. Condition value is anything less than 10. And next would be Watchdogs. On the left we have version 7 Watchdog. On the right we have the new Watchdog. Pretty much everything on here is going to be converted just the same way the digital and analogs were converted. So your name, description, source, item ID. I did say I would mention update rate. Here's the update rate. This is going to be on every tag. You'll notice that on every tag. If you wanted to change the update rate on a per tag basis, you can do that. Units is going to become seconds just because it's a watchdog. So if we jump over to the alarms tab, you'll notice the condition. I can choose a watchdog from the drop down, and I can set my timeout. In version 7 the timeout was in minutes. Now it's in seconds, so 2 minutes becomes 120 seconds. Pretty basic. The description itself comes from the alarm sound in version 7. So that's it. That's everything that's going to be converted for OPC. What we'll do now is a live demo so you can see the conversion happen in real time. Okay, here we're running version 7 and the new Win91 on the same computer. I've got the OPC demo opened up in the configurator so we can take a look through it real quick. If I look at my data source, I can see I have this Kepware server defined. And I've got a few digital alarms defined, so 3 of those. Let's take a look at one of those. So all this information will be converted. And I've got some analog tags over here. I'm going to, oh yeah, one more thing. I've got the watchdog. Here it is configured. I don't think I made any changes, but I'll save it anyway. So once you have your configuration ready to go and you're ready to convert it, then you just need to launch the version 7 importer. It's going to launch, and if you're running on the same machine as version 7, it's going to find these 2 files automatically for you, which is your INI file and your MDB file. If you are running on a separate machine, you'll need to browse for those 2 things. Once you have them selected, you can click Next. It should give you a summary of what is going to be converted. We have one OPC DA source and all the items associated with it. We'll go ahead and convert. This process should be pretty quick because our configuration is relatively small. This is a known issue with this particular build for iFix Watchdogs. We're not dealing with that, so let's not worry about it. Once it's finished, I can go into my new Win91 system. We'll go to alarming, go to OPC DA, go to sources. It's going to make me log in. We're using Windows security to protect the configuration for the new Win91. So here's my new server as it has been converted over. And if I go over to alarms, here are my tags that were converted. First one we'll look at is the digital. So here are all the details that were in version 7 and are now here. If I look at the alarms tab, it's named alarm. I can change that name if I want. The description came from the alarm label in version 7, and the condition is item value equals 1. Again, if I wanted to change any of these, I can. So if I wanted to ever convert this to item equals 0, I could do that here. Change the strategy, change the units, whatever it may be. And let's look at the level alarm here. So we got freshwater tank level, high alarm. All that information was brought in. Here's the alarm. It only had one alarm configured for it. So here's what I meant by you can have multiple alarms on a particular tag. This only had one alarm in version 7, so there's only one here. So if I wanted to create a hi alarm, I'd hit this plus button here, type in hi, create the item value. It's greater. We would probably choose something higher than what the high was, because we're saying this is a high, so I'll put 30. Choose the strategy that it's going to go to. That, again, that represents who's going to be notified for this particular alarm. And you can type in the unit, measure, and severity, and you would save it, and then that change takes effect immediately. You don't have to restart anything. We'll take a look at the watchdog. We've got the tag typed in, the description, and here is the actual alarm configured as a watchdog. Again, you can change that if you want. You can change the description if you want, and I've chosen for my condition is watchdog, and you can choose the operator there and then put the timeout in seconds. It's not minutes anymore. So just if we don't see an update from that tag within 120 seconds, this alarm becomes active, and then you can notify your operators that Win91 is not able to communicate with your OPC server. So that is it for the conversion. That's everything that's going to be converted over. If you have any questions, please contact our product support team. If you have questions about upgrading from version 7 to the new Win91, please contact our sales team, and they can answer any questions that you have. And thanks for watching the video. Bye.